Have you ever wondered how your car keeps running after the engine starts? Most people think the battery powers everything, but that's only true for a few seconds during startup. Once the engine is running, it's actually the alternator that powers the headlights, fuel pump, ignition system, air conditioning, dashboard electronics, and even charges the battery. So what happens when the alternator starts failing? Your battery light comes on, headlights become dim, electronics stop working properly, and eventually your car stalls completely. In this video, we'll explain exactly how an alternator works, what each part does, the most common failure symptoms, and how you can diagnose a faulty alternator like a professional mechanic. Let's get started. What is an alternator? An alternator is an electrical generator driven by the engine. Its job is simple: produce electricity while the engine is running. Recharge the battery. Supply electrical power to every electrical component in the vehicle. Without an alternator, your battery would quickly drain and the engine would stop running. Think of the battery as a water tank. The alternator is the water pump constantly refilling that tank while also supplying water to the entire house. Main parts of an alternator. To understand how it works, let's first identify its major components. 1. Pulley. The pulley is connected to the engine through the serpentine belt. As the engine rotates, the belt spins the pulley. The pulley turns the alternator shaft at very high speed, often between 2,000 and 18,000 RPM depending on engine speed. 2. Rotor. Inside the alternator is the rotor. The rotor is an electromagnet. Electric current flows into the rotor through two slip rings and carbon brushes. This creates a rotating magnetic field. As the engine spins the rotor, the magnetic field rotates with it. 3. Stator. Surrounding the rotor is the stator. The stator contains three sets of copper windings. When the rotor's magnetic field rotates inside these windings, it induces electricity according to Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. The electricity produced here is alternating current, or AC. 4. Rectifier. Cars operate on direct current, or DC. So the AC electricity produced by the stator cannot be used directly. The rectifier contains 6 or more diodes. These diodes convert AC into DC electricity. This converted DC power is then sent to the battery and vehicle electrical system. 5. Voltage regulator. Electrical systems require stable voltage. If voltage becomes too high, electronic components may be damaged. If voltage becomes too low, the battery won't charge. The voltage regulator continuously monitors system voltage. It adjusts the current flowing into the rotor to keep output between approximately 13.8 and 14.8 volts. 6. Bearings. Bearings allow the rotor to spin smoothly with very little friction. Worn bearings often produce whining or grinding noises. 7. Cooling fan. Generating electricity creates heat. Most alternators have an internal or external cooling fan. This keeps internal components from overheating. Step by step. How an alternator works. Now let's see the complete working process. Step 1. You turn the ignition key. The battery sends a small amount of electricity into the alternator rotor. This creates an initial magnetic field. Step 2. The engine starts. The serpentine belt begins spinning the alternator pulley. Step 3. The spinning pulley rotates the rotor. Since the rotor is now a rotating electromagnet, its magnetic field spins rapidly. Step 4. This rotating magnetic field cuts across the stator windings. According to electromagnetic induction, electricity is generated inside the stator. This electricity is alternating current. Step 5. The AC electricity passes through the rectifier. The rectifier converts AC into DC. Step 6. The voltage regulator checks the output voltage. If voltage drops, it increases rotor current. If voltage rises too much, it reduces rotor current. This keeps voltage constant. Step 7. The DC electricity powers every electrical component in the vehicle while simultaneously recharging the battery. The battery is now only used as a backup energy source and for starting the engine next time. Common symptoms of a bad alternator. Let's look at the warning signs. Battery warning light. The most common symptom is the battery-shaped warning light on the dashboard. Remember, this light doesn't necessarily mean the battery is bad. It usually means the charging system has a problem. Dim or flickering headlights. If the alternator cannot provide enough voltage, headlights become dim. You may notice brightness changing with engine speed. Interior lights may also flicker. Weak electrical accessories. Power windows move slowly. Radio resets. Touchscreen freezes. Air conditioning blower becomes weak. Power steering may become heavy in vehicles with electric steering. Dead battery. A failing alternator cannot recharge the battery. Eventually, the battery becomes discharged. You may repeatedly need jump starts. Replacing the battery alone won't solve the problem. Strange noises. Worn bearings produce grinding or whining sounds. Loose pulleys may squeal. Damaged internal components can also create unusual noises. Burning smell. Overheated windings or slipping belts may produce a burning rubber or electrical smell. Never ignore this symptom. Engine stalls. While driving, modern engines rely heavily on electricity. If the alternator completely fails, the battery alone can only power the vehicle for a limited time. Once battery voltage drops too low, the engine shuts off. How to diagnose an alternator. Now let's diagnose it. Method 1. Battery voltage test. You'll need a digital multimeter. Engine off. Measure battery voltage. A healthy battery should read approximately 12.4 to 12.7 volts. Now start the engine. Measure again. A healthy alternator should increase voltage to around 13.8 to 14.8 volts. If voltage stays around 12 volts, the alternator is probably not charging. If voltage exceeds 15 volts, the voltage regulator may have failed. Method 2. Electrical load test. Turn on headlights, air conditioning, rear defogger, hazard lights. The charging voltage should remain above approximately 13.5 volts. If voltage drops significantly, the alternator may be weak. Method 3. Belt inspection. Inspect the serpentine belt. Look for cracks, fraying, glazing, loose tension. A slipping belt can prevent the alternator from generating enough electricity. Method 4. Listen for bearing noise. Start the engine. Listen near the alternator. Grinding or whining noises usually indicate worn bearings. Method 5. Check battery connections. Loose or corroded battery terminals can cause charging problems. Always inspect terminals before replacing expensive components. Method 6. Professional charging system test. Most workshops use specialized charging system testers. These machines measure alternator output current, charging voltage, diode condition, voltage regulator, performance, battery health. This is the fastest and most accurate diagnosis. Can you drive with a bad alternator? Technically, yes, but only for a short distance. Once the alternator stops charging, the vehicle relies entirely on battery power. Depending on battery condition and electrical load, you may only drive for 20 to 60 minutes before the engine stalls. Driving with a failed alternator can leave you stranded unexpectedly. Maintenance tips. Here are a few simple ways to extend alternator life. Inspect the serpentine belt regularly. Keep battery terminals clean. Repair oil leaks immediately because oil damages alternators. Avoid overloading the electrical system with high-power accessories unless your alternator is upgraded. Replace worn bearings before they damage internal components. Conclusion: let's quickly recap. The alternator converts the engine's mechanical energy into electrical energy. The rotor creates a rotating magnetic field. The stator generates alternating current. The rectifier converts AC into DC. The voltage regulator maintains a steady charging voltage. If you notice a battery warning light, dim headlights, repeated dead batteries, strange noises, or engine stalling, don't ignore these warning signs. A simple voltage test with a multimeter can often confirm whether your alternator is charging correctly. Understanding how the alternator works not only helps you diagnose problems faster but can also save you from unnecessary repairs and expensive breakdowns. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more easy-to-understand automotive repair and maintenance videos. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.